Now let me explain something to you about how life works and what's going on. What is it to break the back of America? Well, back in the king and queen days, they used to live through each other. They would marry brother and sister. Well, what happens these days is, let's say you have a parent that demands a child to be like them and doesn't allow the child to be itself. Isn't trusted, but required and held under a lot of stress. Now, or through physical violence or emotional violence. Emotional violence over long term is by far worse than any physical violence. That's why old timers, you shoot, you kill something, you put it out of its misery before it's aware. All right? That's to be humane. Okay? You don't hold prisoners of war. That's what the Geneva Conventions put in for. We don't hold prisoners of war. And then even then, you don't discriminate, regulate. There's certain guidelines. You never use women and children in action of war. This goes right into the family courts. All right? This is about blocking life, land, liberty, about shining false light through an intellect. That is false light through a child's mind or through the fabric. Okay? It's not a woven fabric. The flag is a representation of something. And that is your best friend. It's a child's blanket or a teddy bear. It's the free spirit. It's the integrity, the innocence. Now, when a child is put under, you go through a separation or somebody gets a hold of your child or your puppy, this is your property, okay? Is employed of your property. Now, that's why it's so vital in the world, because if somebody's possessing your property, not just for your own good, but for them, they're ruling you and regulating you. It will change your fucking life. Because it is creation, especially with a child, because your child is 100% you and 100% your wife, and is union of God. All right, it comes in like 440, 720, whatever you guys want to say. They try to come back with 720. That ain't correct. There is no number. It's one point in movement. All light is life. But to break the spirit of the innocence of a child, it goes, oh, and it fragments from itself. This is where shadow work comes in. All right? That is what that is. Baird's ears. My daughter Brooklyn Baird. It's to say it's a very sacred land. All right? You don't say bad things about each other. Mom and dad. Because that child is mom and dad 100%. And self. And union of God. And heritage. Once you break through the heritage of mom and dad, you have child, and then you have the inner light, which people would call the light of God. All right? That's after you break through the veil. The child's been fragmented as body snatching, because that leaves room for somebody like, they say wrongdoers or evil spirits. What it is the person of demand that's in control. All right? This is how detectives and police departments do fucking undercover work. It's called force of intimacy. Having our penetration. It is, what's it called? Burglary of a dwelling. It is destruction of property. You see, property is not a physical item. It is your properness, your code, your integrity, your moral compass, your teachings. It is to whom you are. And it cannot be incorporated into the land, and that's what they've done. They've convinced you that a tract of land is property, or that your car is property, or that these things are property. They're not property. Those are assets, and that's a tract of land that is for the people. You're welcome to use it. Make your private area. You have a good sized section to provide for you and your family, and build your property on top of it by working with it in a kind manner, because it will care for you, because there's already property there. Your ancestors and other means, parts of me. I'm an original light, so my property is everywhere. But I have my personal property, my personal views and my personal things, and my inner workings for caring for a lot of people and a lot of things. I build a lot of property. I have a very large property, and that's why I have so much intellectual information of my own intellect. It's because I've taken my time to define myself into the depths, to be aware for your best interest in cases and times like this. If you don't know what the ribbon is, woman is made from a ribbon. All right? Not a rib, a ribbon. It's considered ribbon. It could be considered the volcano. It could be considered a cross. It could be considered Statue of Liberty. What that is that I only came in from a light without a father. That means that I'm not born fully. I've only got one leg on the ground, so I've got less than everybody else because I only have one half. Okay? That don't make me better than anybody. It makes me equivalent. So I try to stay very grounded and equivalent with everybody. And I'll always sit at the bottom and the top because I don't want to leave anybody behind. But to break the spirit of a child, or that union of God, to break the cerebellum, to break the mind, to say bad things about each other, if mom says something bad about dad, they're saying something bad about that child. Don't feel good in the spiritual world. See, I've got the voice, and I can hear, and I know who's with me. Myself, I've got a subdivided wife, and I've got 2 subdivided children, and I've got about 1 billion of you that I can hear because I know you're subdivided. Now, where the spiritual being of Jacob's ladder is that they have allowed themselves in and think that they are welcome and will be forgiven for their trespass. They will not be forgiven for their trespass. Absolutely not. And to force intimacy to live through another being, especially of the flesh, and to eat of their flesh and drink of their blood or drink of the body of a person in crisis is absolutely disgusting. You eat of your own sorrow, your own soil, your own problems, and you don't pass your tax. You don't divorce the land and the soil to go up into the dream state and live off of somebody else. Because that's what it is. It's entering into the shadow or into the next realms that are very living and pull everything else. Like they said, teach me, guide me, walk beside me, help me find the way. Problem is, but when my children think that they're a homeless man on the street and they think they're by themselves, and my wife does too, and a lot of other people living my life with me, that's for people that are in harm's way. I have 2 shadows with me from walking out of my own flesh. It's called a coat of arms. All right? And that sits, it's like a soul, like you already have. To believe in the light within you, you're not supposed to be able to hear me spiritually because you were given to a loving mother and father. Okay? That you're not supposed to break through that veil. And if you have, there's something wrong. Now, when they start doing this for intention, for communications, and a relay service, and fully denying the fact of what it is, that most communications works through this relay by fragmentation. So what they do is they start a fight and they turn their head and they blast their innocence. It turns into a hallway. You'll see somebody getting all irate and they turn their head and they let you blast them. Women do that a lot. Men do it a lot. They'll start a fight with you for no reason and blast. But there's somebody else there helping them along do that, and trust me. Okay, so this kidnapping is to be stolen in your sleep. Okay? To take somebody's property and force employment of a child is against child labor laws. Now, when I've got police officers that are having movement across the land of incorporation of information following command that are not police officers, that are false in person of a peace officer, that are a public servant, meant to do no harm, a oath, protecting themselves with a Hippocratic oath, which is 2020, which is 40, which is 1980, 1029, 1980, Triple Queen, protecting themselves with my birthday and putting in the hospitals and everything, and I got to go through the fucking bullshit and pay for it. Bullshit. The opposable thumb is not the top of the food chain. I'll tell you that right now. When you put pressure on a person and you force them out, they considered me feral because they've held me out, and they deny me and they block my life, land, and liberty. They hunt me in every city, and they have for over 3 of my decades, which is a lot longer than what you guys have even been alive. Because the center point of expansion is like a drip in a bucket. Okay? They knew exactly where the center point of gravity was, and what it is from that point, and it expands out. All right? So your history that you've been taught is your future. You want to believe in yourself, that light within you. It's your heritage, who you are. You take that original light and you model it to good suitors for one another. No matter what they do, every time they do it, I'll hear you. You'll hear me. It doesn't matter who you'll hear me as. My daughters, everything speak through nature, through the mammals. They've been forced out into the land. So when they're forcing your innocence out, where do you think you're going? You're going into other people, or you're going out into the mammal. The elk run, that was great. Then they go out and hunt the elk. So when innocence is forced out into that, and then releasing the spirit from that mammal, letting it return home, it should naturally already release, so carry the spirit across. But to go into somebody else's backyard or into their property, not mine, mine's very innocent, because all nature is very innocent and it's afraid of you. You've been taught bad things about nature, working with the earth. When you're sad, the deer will come up right to you. They don't want to see you sad. The birds, it's a lot like Snow White. I hear my daughter speaking to me. Daddy, Daddy. All right, nature is part of who you are and reflection. It's very innocent. I had a friend of mine in Oregon. I walked up in his van, all the windows were broken out and freaking everything, and oh man, they were screaming and yelling, it was bad. And so I seen this little dead squirrel with his guts blown up the side of the freaking rim. So I grabbed a shovel and I picked him up, go put him on the dirt instead of the roadway. Man, and I had about 50 people attack me. And I said, look, I got a little, they're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Trying to hit me for trespassing and all this. And I put it in the dirt. The little squirrel's fillings that was a pretty big filling. All right, that hurt a lot of people. Very innocent little squirrel. Everybody felt the shockwave around it. All right, life's not even though it died. Even though it died, innocent. Go ahead, you got cars behind you, go. Go ahead. Go with the flow of traffic, don't stop. hold everybody up. I get in where I fit in. Been hit 4 times in the crosswalk. I wonder why. Only accidents I've ever had is getting hit in the right-hand turn. Car's doing 40 miles an hour, take a turn and pap! Never trust a right-hand turn in a crosswalk. Anyway, these children and all of you, when you realize that time is not of an existence, pressure is. You've been taught to believe in time. We used to, I'll be there on Sunday, a sunny day. I'll be there on a windy day, Wednesday. Every day is Tuesday. You know, Friday's a hot day. Let's not do it on Friday. You know, I'll be there midday. I'll be there, you know, whatever it is. Because then you hold each other a contract. You're late. You need to be here. You start judging each other and holding animosities towards each other. You know, the train, the Underground Railroad, that was all developed around time. You know, 12 by 12 of 24 is 2 tops. That puts America and China both the tops. It creates an alter personality and also a way to transfer with 2 twists in it. In fact, you can see it in glass. When you pour glass, that orb flips upside down. Boom, it flips it upside down because of the false gravity. Now, police departments pull ice, North Pole, South. They're creating radiation of a false pole in my representation. To take my representation, to pull security. Now, they're breaking their own back slowly by abusing themselves and their thing and denying their heritage. Same with the LDS religion and same with other religions. If you're not part of the soil, working with the soil, or working with people in a matter, or developing and seeing yourself and believing in somebody else, you never believe in somebody else before yourself. Because you believe there. You deny yourself. How do you exist? You're loose-seated. So then a city comes in and sits within you and installs their codes. That's what that is. Teaching you, installing their truth in you and denying your innocence. So then what happens is you get a bunch of goods not prevailing. Then you get a bunch of these bullies running around, beating on everybody in innocence and independence, trying to beat it out of you to get you to conform because they don't like the look of you. They don't like the smell of you. They will go hurt a child right away, emotionally, to scare that spirit right at them. Well, if you can see it, like I can see, I can hear. You know, Helen Keller wasn't blind and deaf. They were blind and deaf. She communicated another way to the intellectual. And she heard in another way. Very communicative. Mount St. Helens is a big deal, you know. Now, personal practice, private property. I'm private property. I'm not public property. But they like to get into my Delta state, and they like to try to form the things. And what happens when you get up here and you look down, you'll get all my intellect backwards. You're plugging holes before I can get there. Because you're sitting with me because you've attacked yourself, your innocence, and they're calling it lunacy, right? But really, lunar cycle is another moon. That's 29 days. Okay? To fit in with the thing, or 29 days, 20, you know what I mean? But the problem is there's a center between 2 points in expansion. You know, you got, if it's 0.1, and you split it down the center, all right, point is a dot, a star, and movement, expansion. Between 2 points, you split it, and it folds over the other way. It's 1.1, so it's 3. And same with 4 points is 7. So multiplication and addition plus is actually, it pays you to do it, and that's what they're hiding. All right, you plant one seed, you get many back in return. You're working with the earth. They're consolidating. One will never stay one. I'll tell you that. It expands. We're expanding the speed of light. So they're actually throwing everything out the window and holding you in poverty and me in poverty for control. So where the earth already has a monetary system, you work with it and it'll pay you back. You know, no good deed goes undone or goes unthing, because your subconscious is connected into the intellectual sea or into the unaware consciousness. You're working around, you're moving around. It's divine gravity. Gravity is a belonging. You can take a pile of dirt. I'll tell you right now how you do this. I'm up here by these mountains. Now I could drop a pile of dirt right here, and each angle that I looked at that pile of dirt would divinely match up with the mountain ranges. It would come out perfect to match all the tops from each angle, because there's a divine fall, a natural fall. Okay, that means every part of my body belongs because it's right where it should be. Now this divine gravity that they wrongfully did, because they'll have you guys, if you want to go by magnetic gravity, you guys will be flying around in circles around a volcanic, their active volcanic tube. That's what that is. It's a magnetic volcano tube. It's radioactive. It's also metal heated, causes a magnetic pole. So where it appears, because of those bends, that the earth is round because of your longitude and latitude, you can take and line up any power line and watch a plane fly across, and you can see how that works. You watch it fly, it's flying level, but you'll watch the distance different, and that's your longitude and latitude, all right? Because of your angle of perception, it dives and it looks like it's rounded. It's not actually rounded, all right? We're floating across a level playing field, but each one of your lives are rounded, okay? You're born to your own world with your own privacy, okay? That means you can only see it your way. Now, to try to step in somebody else and be intimate with another and see it their way, to break into the mind, like the Copperfield Statue of Liberty looking out the eyes. See, this patternistic behavior for me is very, very simple, because it is my life. So I see it very, 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 very well. So I've just never got to have the cream off my own crop, right? Off my own doing. They always step into my character and take my doings because they know how to force intimacy with me. A cop picked me up as a little boy, smashed me against the walls, and he committed marriage with me. Looking into my eyes, well, my eyes went black and I seen stars. It's my stepdad. Or not stepdad, he's not really my dad. My spirit fell down through the stirrups. But the bottleneck, the War 300, okay, that's where blondness comes from. Well, one type of it. See, Kodamoot color is also the beard. I got every color. But it's also blackness is shining. So this Holy Spirit would look like the sun on the other side. Black on the other. Now, Black Lives Matter, to be in lack or hold somebody in lack or in a state of imminent danger, of imminent danger or eminent domain or whatever. What they're trying to do is consider all land to be public, and that the police department and cities own public. No, it's publicly granted land for use of pub, which is a bar where it was written. And they are to maintain their properness, because any organization, so if you work for a group for the business, you'll cut corners for the best interests of the empire of the business. Aimlessly, and you'll follow a pattern. And that's called mob mentality, patternistic behavior. And it's what the Italians were accused of doing, but actually the police department's doing it from here now, right? They're instating. And then when they break into the mine and they subdivide you from your innocence, and they put you on autopilot. So most of these people around me right now, because of COVID, are on autopilot. All right? Because what they do is they get up and they go to work, and they do the same thing every day repetitiously. Eventually, you leave. Fuck this. You don't believe in me. You don't believe in your inner child. You're not connected with me. You believe in somebody else. Have no God be good orderly direction besides thyself. Good orderly direction, God. Be true to your one self. Your innocence will not sit with your arrogance and your ignorance to other people or rudeness to the earth. It will not sit with you. It will not. It's not in these churches. It's not in these temples. It's in the land. It's in everything around you. It's in the light. And God said, let there be light of intellect, of my information. The expression of the moon is the expression of a sleeping baby's face or of innocence. It's the expression of light. The excitement of my little girl's face, Daddy, I'm so excited to see you, is the same as the sun. If you took a purring cat of that excitement and put it up to an next glass, you would see this vibration looks like the scales of a snake. And it reverses. So then that's a cold-blooded animal because it's the reverse. It needs that expression and that love. And then you look at a chihuahua, it's all shaking on the outside, and it's the opposition to that. But that cuddling and that innocence, or the egg on the ovarian wall, is like the moon. When that gets impregnated with the light of the sun, it's up. The sun, the moon, and the earth are a lot of the same. In fact, it does very much do with the magma or the light within shining through the water or the sweat. It shines without. And every day it creates a new light, burns the light in. Boom, boom, boom. There used to be an open called Thunder Mountain. I was beside there. And had a guy pull me out of a van right there and beat the shit out of me when I was a little boy. But these big thunderballs would roll down, called Thunder Mountain. See, these lava balls could generate enough energy to get the spirit outside. The light outside, the unaware light of one's essence outside of the environment. Not an atmosphere, an environment. Atmosphere was created there. So, where the police departments are privately owned and are public servants, and are instating authority, which is violation of color of law and is without a doubt an attack on their own infrastructure and causing a black hole. So then the orbs look like donuts. Sometimes you can look at the moon and you see a hole going through it. That's because they're eating a way through. Life is but a dream. Row your boat gently down the stream. Row it your own way. But the truth is see, your imagination that's above you, where these freaking subdivides, there's innocence there with me, but I also get the society come and attack in my sanctuary through your poltergeists or your false beliefs and your city ordinance, your city codes against my independence, against your own independence. Child grows up strong enough, is born strong enough to freaking stand next to you because it's been with you. It's part of your spirit. It's been in every interaction. It's ready to go, and it's in opposition. It knows what's going on. You trust it. You don't stand on its back. You trust it to follow because it is more strength in you, especially now because I've spent a lot of time. I've spent a lot of time building this light. This light will kick the shit out of you. All right? So none of you can deny what I'm saying because you know in your heart what I'm telling you is true because I have went the extra mile and put that cherry on top to make sure that my innocence is protected. Because I don't give of myself, of my family, of who I am. Or will I ever allow light to come back to this soil or any soil? So when they get them subdivided and they're in my shadow, that's why they said never put women and children in a shadow or use one times itself. The square linear square footage of a pole, the shadow. Wherever you have your hand in the union of creation of God, of good orderly direction, especially of origination. You are gods. Whether you want to turn your heads and deny it or not, and creators, you are equivalent. No God whatever, or no king. You'd never find a king being them pantsied anyway. You find a king out of the front lines, protecting his people and his family before they find harm. solving the problems. It's integrity, decency. Yeah, a lot of you are pampered because I don't think your innocence should be hurt. So I don't see any reason for you to have to go through under so much pressure. I've been through hell my whole life. I've never seen any good. I was raised a fighter against my will, fighting for good against bullies that now inherit the street and are looked to as good people. Those aren't fucking good people. It's disgusting. Every time I see a cop driving down the road, I can't believe how much arrogance, how much ignorance that is. Your trust is upon all of you. You trust your neighbor. You trust the other person, and you always stand by a bitten hand. You see a man that's in pain, screaming and yelling. You just do what you can, back off, and show that man that he's supported because he's been hurt. Racism, discrimination, persecution, violation of independence, of these pressures, you don't know what he's going through, what they've taken. They've taken my children and subdivided them. What do you think that's doing to other people? So I pull that all in because they've came to me. I'm the first person that you'll come to, and you sit with me. It always returns back, but you'd never give that back. You keep it, you believe in it, it belongs to you. So they force you into who I am. That is the bottleneck, forcing you through who I am. And I've got a very beautiful dream state, but you all have your own imagination. A child's imagination is the most beautiful thing in the world. Innocence. You maintain that. You grow up to a certain age, you learn how to work well, one is not held responsible for the other, and then you divert back to the likes of a child to comfort. It's to comfort one another. Keep harmony and balance. Now, when I have these people coming in and I got cops coming in behind me and viewing me from above, you know, the 12 table, all that, and they're up here, but society, they are the crowns upon my head. That is all that's ever needed to bound my hands and put nails, stop me from being able to do something. As they take 40 cars, they take everything I got. But one of my days is a lot longer than one of your days. All right, I watch people flip through like a book. I'm looking at the same people. All I see is what I know. But people that see me, 2,000 years ago, still see me as the man at a different angle of who I am. But I'm still there as well. Still on center point. Never look at the sunlight. You focus on something, you lose yourself. So, when you get in there, you kind of fall in line with who I am, and that's kind of what they're trying to do, is push you out of yourself and not let your innocence be. So breaking the innocence out there, making these people feel like they create wars, they kill people to get you, they reverse cause and effect. It means that you treat others as you should be treated. And it works that way, but they've overlaid it. Created a matrix of expansion and catching my expansion because I can feed 1 million people. It's easy. Give, take, pass. And I walk on water all day. What's water? War tear. It's the tear of them. Liquid hydration is much different. And you had that before it was even created. I can tell you that right now. All right? So, where it was so plausible to happen, it already's there. But you still got to give it light. So you put the best stuff there.